Fish are hitting on Lake of the Woods, Red Lake, and the Big V. This is your Minnesota Bite Report for February 6, 2026. On the Baudette side, Lake of the Woods is seeing good action in 28 to 33 feet of water on dead sticks with frozen shiners or chubs. Pink glow jigs and gold spoons were the ticket out there in the deeper water. Matt, one of our scouts on location, spent a couple hours shallow. He fished 18 to 20 feet of water from 8 to 11 in the morning and did pretty well. He managed to get two slots, a 23 and a 25 and a half on a gold jigging spoon tipped with a minnow head. The deeper water seemed to be more efficient using dead sticks. There were quite a bit of nice saugers coming in the 11-13 inch range, and they also saw a couple in the 15-16 inch range, with the largest and deeper water being a 22 inch walleye. Now, in the middle of the lake around Williams, our scout Steve says the reefs are producing some decent fish on dead sticks with a small pink jig. They're also getting a few large walleyes, one slot fish in the 22 inch range and one around 25 inches on the dead stick. On the Warroad side, our scout Mike says he's getting saugers on the dead stick with a plain hook with a frozen shiner. If you don't know Lake of the Woods all that well, it's always a good idea to pick up a package of frozen shiners. There's times of the day where it just seems like the fish just like to cue in on that little, tiny frozen shiner that its tail might be sitting on the bottom of the lake. His largest walleye was 27 inches on the Warroad side. We've been seeing some nice fish on the Warroad side. Not quite the numbers as the Baudette side, but definitely getting some nice fish, and there's been a few pods of slot fish coming through. The Minnesota Bite Report is brought to you by Easy Fish USA and Range Behavior. Looking for an outfitter in the Lake Vermilion area? Contact Easy Fish USA for canoe rental, tow service from resorts, and launch right to the entry number 1 in the Boundary Waters, and also boat rentals, bait, and guide service. Call Easy LV and Easy Fish USA at 218-235-7315. Scout Trent has been fishing remote between 8 and 11 this morning. He's had good success on rainbows with a red hook. He moved to the center bar. There he found about 18-inch fish, maybe a couple 18 inchers and one 24 inch. He got a couple of smaller fish, but he said that those are few and far between. It was a little slower on the center bar. There's a lot of people out at the center bar right now. There was one nice 37 inch northern that showed up at a neighbor's house that he reported, and it's great to see some of these big northerns coming through. All right, Mille Lacs. We've got Stan V out on Mille Lacs, and he's doing pretty well on the north end of Mille Lacs, fishing for perch. He's using a jigging spoon with a minnow head, and he also had 3 walleyes come through his house, but they weren't very big. He said that all 3 of those were from 11 to 13 inch. He's catching some decent perch, and mixed in with those walleyes, he is starting to see some bigger fish. So he can see them on the graph, but he said they're just not taking. So he wasn't sure if they were northerns, muskies, or just playing some big walleyes. But they are starting to see some fish. All across the state, weather is picking up a little bit. We're getting a little bit nicer weather, and the fish are starting to move a little bit. So it's a great time to be out. There's only a couple weeks left in the season here. If you're gonna go for northerns and walleyes and not be on the border waters, then this is a great time to be out. The fish are starting to move a little bit more than the dead of January. And we are starting to see some better fish. Now, I personally have been out on Lake Vermilion, the Big V. A couple days ago, I had a night where I caught 6 slot fish in and around the slot. It was just a fantastic night. The fish are starting to pair up on Lake Vermilion. So when I get the big slot female, I'm starting to see also a good sized male swimming with the female. So make sure you get your lines right back down. One or the other of these fish will take your bait, and usually the other one is sitting down there waiting for the bait or waiting for its companion to come back down. So a lot of the times what I will get is I will get one of them right away and then get the second one right away. The other thing that I find happens is that while the walleyes are paired up, they don't spook as easily. Now, you can get a hit, miss the fish, you can tell that it was a nicer fish. It just pulled right off, maybe broke your hook off, whatever. But hook right back up, whether you got to put a new jig on there. Sometimes they will sit right below that hole. They won't even go to a different hole. You know, you've got a couple other lines down in other holes. They won't even go to it. They will hit it. They will sit in that one spot, and I will put another jig down, and they will take it almost immediately. That happened at least 2 or 3 times this last night. So I ended up getting on Lake Vermilion 6 fish between 23 and 27 inches. That was a fantastic night. Now, over on the west end of Lake Vermilion, there are a lot of perch being caught around the Wake 'em Up Narrows. So right out in front of the Wake 'em Up Narrows, there's a lot of perch. You have to weed through the small ones, and those are just coming on a small minnow, either a small chub or a small rainbow, small whatever you can find. Even the bugs, the perch will take. So on Lake Vermilion, what I like to use is a small hook and a weight. And I just use either a copper hook or a red hook, and it's just a fantastic fishery. So this is a great time to get out and do some fishing in Minnesota, and we'll see you in the next couple of days for another Minnesota Bite Report. Have a great day.